We thank Hashem that we're able to learn. This chus of our learning, we should have the base of Migdash immediately.
Amen.
Refuah Shlema for Chil Nassim ben Sarah and Aaron David Alevi and Menucha Lester and Sarah Basara. Okay, we're holding Gimel Amud Beis in the middle of the page. Tana. Gimel Amud Beis, that's 3b. Tana be'avim u'beruchais l'chivu chachamim lahasker v'balahasker masker. Yeah, we're talking about mentioning the rain in Shemoneh Esrei. What's wrong? So we said that you don't have to mention the dew because the dew never stops. So don't have to mention the wind. The wind doesn't stop. Now we have a brisa that says the clouds and the wind you don't have to mention as a praise of Hashem because it's always there. It's not seasonal. But if you do mention it, that's okay. And what's the reason why you're not obligated mishum d'lei matzi? Because it never stops, and it's not a seasonal thing.
Excuse me, I'm having a little trouble. Could you tell me sort of the number count on the line?
Oh, let's see. Go down to about 18 lines.
Okay, thank you.
It says Tana.
Okay.
The line starts Hatal.
Aha, okay. Gotcha.
So we said the clouds and the wind, they didn't obligate you to mention in Shemoneh Esrei. Mishum d'lei matri means it doesn't stop. V'lei mi'atri, the clouds and the wind don't stop. That's not so, because we have a pasuk. Pasuk says, Vatani Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef teaches. Rabbi Yosef was the teacher of Abaya, friend of Rabbah. He says, "Va'atzaras hashamayim." Say this in Shema. The heavens will close up. What is that referring to? Mina avim, from the clouds. Umina ruches, and from the winds. Atayim mina avim mina ruches. Ayin elam mina matar. Maybe it means va'atzaras hashamayim means there'll be no rain. That's the assumption, right? You say no. It says the clouds will close up and there won't be rain. So there won't be rain already mentions the rain. So what does it mean? It's referring to something else. It means there'll be no clouds and no wind. So therefore, the question is, we should be mentioning things that are seasonal in the Shemoneh Esrei as a praise of Hashem. What do we get from the wind, Professor? What service does the wind provide us? The Gemara is going to make a suggestion later, but I'm asking in the science. Yeah.
So how or why do farmers need wind?
I can't hear, Professor. I don't know if you're commenting.
It dries my clothes when I hang them out.
I hear.
That's the sign.
There must be something else. Yeah.
Weather-wise, it determines the whole weather. There's all the winds. There's all these wind charts that show how the weather of the world is determined by the upper winds and the lower winds. It also distributes atomic fallout all over the world to make sure we all get strontium 90.
I hear. I don't know if that's what he was referring to.
Does it impact the humidity?
I think
It would be.
The meteorologists talk about wind changes up above when there's something down below. No, I don't think there's anything happens in the world without the winds. I don't know if you're asking specifically. I always thought winds determine everything.
Yeah, so the question was the other way. Avram Nassan says, what do the winds do? The question is, what do the winds not do? Okay. Okay. So
my question is, how can you have clouds and not have rain?
Tal without rain?
No, clouds.
Oh.
No, rain
Well,
without
how do you have
cloud.
rain without the clouds? You're asking.
Have that rain all the time.
Can you, it's saying that clouds never disappear, so you can have clouds forever and not have any rain come from them?
Yeah, I guess. What was the types of clouds? Strata, altostrata, cumulonimbus. There's like a bunch of types of clouds, not all rain clouds.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the
So,
purpose of those clouds? The non-rain clouds, what's their purpose?
Yeah.
Beauty? I mean, if clouds transport rain and, but they shelter. They give shelter to man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What else?
That doesn't have to do with the heat of the earth, does it? The clouds, that wouldn't affect that. That would be the atmosphere.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, the clouds over the Everglades every afternoon because as you talked about yesterday, the earth heats up faster over there, and there's more clouds because they go up, they condense when it gets cold, and you get these afternoon showers.
No, but that would be the rain clouds again, right?
Right. But a non-rain cloud, I don't know what their function is.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
The artists like them.
Right. They're so beautiful and they're all different.
Uh-huh.
Are there angels in each cloud? Do we have that? No. What do they do? I don't know what they do. I really don't.
Okay. So
What
now the
topic?
Gemara has a question because we said that the clouds don't stop, the winds don't stop. We have a brisa that Rabbi Yosef quotes, Rabbi Yosef teaches, Rabbi Yosef is an Amira, but he teaches based on this pasuk that no, there's the clouds do stop and the winds do stop. So it says kasha ruchas ruchas, kasha avim avim. We have a contradiction in both of these things. Okay, so the Gemara answers there's two types. Avim like kasha. On the clouds, there's no problem because there's early clouds and then there's later clouds. The clouds before the rain and then there's clouds that come after the rain. So though the ones that come after the rain, they stop. I'm not sure exactly what the clouds after the rain are. The clouds before the rain, I know what that is. Rucha is like kasha, and with the wind, there's also no question because habaruch mitzvah, habaruch sheina mitzvah. It depends what type of wind. There's the normal winds, and then there's the abnormal winds, the very strong winds, hurricane type winds. So the regular winds never stop, but the strong winds, the storm winds, that does stop. Now the Gemara says, okay, so you resolved the contradiction, and you said that the reason why you don't have to mention it is because they never stop. And then you said, but they do stop. They said, well, there's two types. So, but the ones that stop, we should mention at least those if there's some sort of benefit from those. So the Gemara asks, there is a benefit to those storm winds or extra strong winds because you can use it to winnow on the threshing floor. You can throw up the grain and the strong winds will blow away the chaff, which seems like it's something that's significant. So the Gemara says, that's efsher benafis, that you can do with instruments also. You can use sifters and things if you want to take away the chaff from the grain. So that's not something that it's necessary enough that we're going to mention in the prayers. Tana ha'avim v'arucha shniyas lamatar. We have a brisa that says that the clouds and the wind are second best only to the rain. So they're very important. Yeah. Hechidami. When does this apply? Amar Ula v'teimer Rab Yehuda the Basar Mitra. After it rains. After it rains, the winds and the clouds are very important. Yeah, because it dries the clothing. If you left it out on the clothesline. No, it's referring to the grain, to the soil, to Lemeimer de Malyusi. You're saying that the winds after it rains is something good. But we have a pasuk. This is in the Teichacha, in the curses. Yitin Hashem es mitar artzecha avak va'afar. That Hashem will make the rain into dust. It's not really like the dust bowl. That when I read this, that's what I thought it was talking about, the dust storms. That was when there was no rain. This is saying, or maybe it is, at least the way the Gemara is explaining it, is that the soil was dry and the rain comes and it turns it all into mud, and the wind blows it all over the grain, which clogs up messes up all the stalks of grain. Rabbi Yehuda, Zika de Basamitra, that's talking about the wind that comes after the rain, that it turns it into dirt and it blows over the grain. So you're telling me that that's a good thing. It turns out that in the curses, we see that that's a bad thing. The wind that comes after the rain. Like Kasha, the Gemara says. Hadas anicha, hadas razia. Depends how softly it rains. If it rains softly, then it will get absorbed in the earth. And I'm sorry. Hadas anicha, hadas razia. Yeah, it's talking about the rain. The topsoil, right? Yeah. Yeah. What's it called in the humus, right? That's the term. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda Zika de Basamitra Kimitra. Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda is a Amira, Rav Yehuda. Zika de Basar Mitra. It's interesting because Rav Yehuda was the one that mentioned before possibly this difference between the two types of rain. I'm sorry, I skipped one thing. One raises up the dirt in the soil, and one doesn't raise up the dirt in the soil. Yeah. It's the same, it seems to be the same answer as before. It's just, that's why it drops the Ibayasema. It's not a separate answer. Possibly. It's different precise here. Okay. Now Rabbi Yehuda says that the wind that comes after the rain is as good as the rain. As important as the rain. Eva de Basar Mitra Kimitra. The clouds that come after the rain is important as the rain. Shimsha de Basar Mitra Kitrei Mitri. The sun that shines after the rain is like two rains. Double as good. The Gemara is saying, yeah, like in this mood of everything is good. What isn't good? If the rain, the wind, yeah. It's like, what are you excluding? Lamute Mai, when is it not good? The Gemara is asking. Well, Lamute Gili de Leila, the Shimsha de Beni Karchi. It's coming to exclude this sort of light that comes at night and the clouds that come through, the sun that comes through the clouds. That's apparently not good. One place is cold, one place is hot. One place is clouded, and then it shines through in one area. What's the Gili de Leila? Is that the what's it called? Aurora? What's it called? What's it called?
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, Aurora Borealis. Huh? They never saw it over there. Uh-huh.
Lightning doesn't happen often without clouds. It'll happen. A volcanic eruption.
Uh-huh. Oh, so you think it's referring to lightning? Gili de Leila? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. No, it's saying that these are things that aren't good. The lightning helps with the apparently with the nitrogen fixation, I think. Is that what it's called? Turning the nitrogen to get it into the soil. The lightning helps with that. But that doesn't mean that would be something that the Gemara would discuss. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it's referring to, what types of lights this is. He gives me a French word. Taisvus tells me it's lenisher, and Rashi tells me it's ishlushtera. Okay, I don't know. Amar Rava. Rava says, Mali tilga lature kechamisha mitri la'ara. Snow on the mountains is as good as 5 rains on the earth. Shenemar kilasheleg yaimar, to the snow, you should say, who have heavy eretz, come to the earth, the geshem, and to the rain, matar, to rain, Begesha mitre suzay, and rain is the rain of his strength, or rain of his strength. So if you count out the amount of times it says rain in this pasuk, it says geshem, it says matar, it says geshem, and then mitres is a double expression. It's a plural. And so that's a total of 5. But Amar Rava also says, Tilga Lature. The snow is good for the mountains. Mitrarazia, a heavy rain, is good leilane, to the trees. And mitranicha is leperi. And a light rain is good for the fruits. The fruits over here mean the grain. Okay. Or pila is a drizzle. Afilu lepartsid, the tusikala mahanale. That helps. Even a partsida is a seed that's underneath a clod of earth. That's going to help it. The drizzle is very good. It helps even a seed that's underneath that's in the soil. Mayer pila, what is her pila? It says oirei pili. It's you take that word, it's a play on the Aramaic word. You take the word, and oirei could mean to to awaken, and pila means the cracks. It's one shot. Yeah.
The skin on the cracks.
It could mean that it fills in the cracks. That's Rashi's first shot. But the second shot is that it awakens what's in the crack. Yeah. Okay. What's in the crack is the seeds. So the drizzle causes the seeds to sprout. Amar Rava says, Haitzorva Merabanan, this young yeshiva student, Dami lepartida de tusikala. He's similar to a seed that's underneath the dirt. The kivan the navat. Once he starts to sprout, he's sprouting. Yeah. What's the pshat? What does this mean? That at first it may mean that he's protected. He has to be protected at the beginning, and he's like underneath. He shouldn't be distracted. The other possibility of what it means is that no one knows about him until he starts to become known, and then once he becomes known, then everyone knows him. Like when it rains, it pours. Okay. Well, Amar Rava, Haitzover Merabanan Deratach is a famous Gemara. Rava says that when a young yeshiva student gets angry, it's the Torah that's making him angry. Sort of like you should judge him favorably, even though he's getting angry. Usually that's not a good thing. But here it's saying that no, it's the Torah that's making him so sensitive. My words are like fire, says Hashem. Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone read that book about what's his name by the Kaisel? Alax. What's his name? Yeah, and Reb Naftali, I can't hear.
Gil Locks.
Gil Locks. Yeah. So he wrote this book about from something to Times Square or something, to Central Park, something that. Anyway, he was meditating. He was like a Buddhist or something. He was meditating for hours and hours. He said that he would get so frustrated by any noise. He said it was like infuriating. Couldn't handle because it would disturb the concentration that he had. It was like a nervous wreck. You know, he couldn't. Anyway, I don't know if that's the pshat over here in the Talmud Chacham that's getting angry, but if you have to concentrate, so the slightest distraction is so. If it doesn't matter, you can have someone drumming on you, whatever. But he needs earplugs. Yeah. Okay. What the pshat is that he becomes very sensitive to what people do because he's like on a higher level. The Torah is telling him like what's correct, what's not correct, and he's it's like sort of like not able to be understanding to them because he's on a higher level. Maybe that's the pshat. I'm sorry.
Like Rabbi Shem Bar Yochai when he came out the first time.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Omer Ravashi, Kol Talmud Chacham Sheina Kosher Kabar Zalena Talmud Chacham. Ravashi says that before this was Rava. Now Ravashi says that the Talmud Chacham that's not hard like iron is not a Talmud Chacham. It has to be very like unbendable. You can't convince him like this or like that or whatever. Shenemar, it's a continuation also of his like getting angry. The kapatish yifitzitsela, it's like a hammer that breaks the rock. Amar Rab Abba Ravashi. Rab Abba says to Ravashi, Atun, you learn it from there. But Anan mihacha masnin, we learn it from here. The ksiv eretz asher avaneh barzel, the land that its stones are iron. Al tikri avaneh ela baineha. Don't call it avaneha, that's stones, but baineha, but it's builders. Its builders are iron. And now we have other verses that tell us that who's considered the builders is the Torah sages are the builders. Okay. Amar Ravina says, nevertheless, this is important that this comes in over here. Nevertheless, it's important for a person to train himself to be more relaxed, to be more calm. Should remove anger from your heart. Yeah. What's the famous Musar source for this? The Ramban's letter. The letter of the Ramban. How does it start off? Tinatzal menakas. Yeah. It says to speak softly and to save yourself from anger. He says speak softly and carry a big stick. Okay, so a person should train himself always to be calm and not to get angry. Anger is considered a bad characteristic. Even though the Talmud Chacham that's getting angry, it could be it's the Torah that's getting angry, but nevertheless, even for him, he should train himself. Usually, it's if it's a religious thing, it's usually an excuse. It's usually not really the religion that's causing that feeling. Yeah, someone said there was like an argument, this group of Chassidim, that group of Chassidim, and it was a big argument. So when he got older, he said he realized it was a regular argument. There was nothing holy about it. As a kid, he thought it was like, just fighting for Hashem or something. Okay. Amar Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Amar Rab Yonasan. Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani says the name of Rab Yonasan. This is a very common pair, Rab Yonasan and a student, Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani and Agadata. Very common. There's always like a pasuk involved. Let's see. Shleisha Shalu Shleika Hagen. 3 people asked improperly. L'shnayim hashivu kahagen, but 2 of them were answered nevertheless. Le'echad hashivu shleikagen, and 1 of them was answered improperly, like he requested. In other words, it was a request that wasn't thought through. 2 of them, anyway, they got a good response, but 1 of them got the response that it wasn't carefully thought out. Ve'eluhein. They are Eliezer Ebed Avram, Shol ben Kish, and Yiftach Hagiladi. Eliezer was the servant of Avram, Shol the king, and Yiftach Hagiladi was one of the judges. Eliezer Ebed Avram, what did he do? He says, Tiksiv, Vahayanara Sheremer La'atina Kadech V'gaimer. And the girl, the maiden that will come out and will say, bend your bucket and I'll give you water. That will be the one that I'll take for a wife for Yitzchak. Now it turned out that it was the correct one. It was Rivka, but that decision, that whichever one it is, he didn't take into account. He didn't ask a lawyer first, to look over that contract. He said because Yachal afilu chigeres afilu suma. It could have been a girl that limps. It could have been a blind girl, and he would have said, "Okay, well, it's too late." That's the. But however, Hishiva Kahagen Minastam Le Rivka. It turned out okay because it was Rivka that came, but that was an uncareful an uncareful, careless. Thank you. Oh, wow. Let me read this. Yes, I'll read this later. Well, this is interesting. The uniqueness of the Jerusalem climate. Wow. Wow, you saved it. Wow. Okay.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
but Eliezer still does look into her yichus after time. It's not like he accepted her without any, like, unconditionally.
Right. Right. He didn't put that as a stipulation, though. Okay. Shol ben Kish, what happened over there? This is by Goliath. Goliath was shouting out like curses against Hashem and the Jewish people. And Shaul says that whoever will kill Goliath, the king will make him wealthy and I'll give him his daughter. Now, that was like this condition that wasn't this this agreement that wasn't carefully made, because Yachal afilu eved afilu mamzer. How do you know who it was going to be? It could have been a slave. It could have been a mamzer, someone that you can't really marry. And then he was ready to give his daughter. So, but however, Yeshiva Kaigan min David, it turned out well. They answered, they gave him well, and it was David. He might have not been happy later on, but but at least there was someone that was eligible for marriage. Yeah.
Didn't they think that David was a mamzer?
Yeah, and they
Wasn't
also
there a
thought David was
question?
a mamzer. That's interesting. Yeah. At least, who was it? Dayeg or someone, or someone over there thought that it wasn't acceptable to marry Rus. For Rus to have been married. Okay, Yiftach Hagiladi. This is probably one of the saddest stories in Tanakh. Yeah, besides for like Pilegesh Begiva or something. This is a very sad story. Yiftach says, he goes to battle. He says that if he's successful, when he comes back, the first thing that's going to come out of his house, he's going to bring us a sacrifice. And that was not a correct, it wasn't correct for him to say that, because Yachal afilu davar tameh. Maybe it would have been a pig that would have come out. He was going to bring a pig as a sacrifice. He wasn't careful. And however, in Yeshiva Shlei Kahagan, and he got answered also incorrectly. In his Damle Bita, it was his daughter that came out. What exactly happened, at least from this Gemara, it looks like he sacrificed his daughter. That's not, and the Mefarshim on Tanakh say that she became like a, what's it called? A nun. They put her in like a monastery or some sort of thing like that. And she never got married. That's what it was considered. Behind the Kamalu Navi Liyaslavdel. This is what the Navi says, Liyisrael. In Yirmiyah it says, Hatsari in Begilad, is there no tsari? Tsari is like balsam or something. There's no oil. Imraife in Sham, is there no doctor? So what that's referring to is that there happens to be that there was someone there that would have been able to resolve this problem. It was Pinchas. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKayin. He was the head of the, it's like the Kayin Gadol. And if Yiftach would have gone to him, Pinchas could have been Mater Neder. And if Pinchas would have taught Yiftach about this, Pinchas could have gone to him. So they're both sort of blamed for this, but at least by the Navi, they're blamed that they didn't resolve this issue. But Yiftach said, what, I'm going to go to him. I'm the judge. And Pinchas said, I'm going to go to him. I'm not going to let him come to me. So in the end, that's this negative result happened. Yeah. Turns out that how does Mater Neder work? How does it work? That you go to some rabbi and he says, okay, mutalach, it's permissible, and then you don't have to keep the vow. So probably the explanation is that whenever someone takes a vow, it's with like a unspoken condition that if the rabbi will agree. So shows up at the rabbi. He says, "I want to annul it." He said the rabbi can annul it, but that would only work if you're willing to go to him. If you're the type that's never going to go to him, then that condition isn't there. If you're not bottled to it's a very Hasidic. If you're not bottled to the Rebbe, then the Rebbe is not involved in your nedarim.
Well, one time I saw this happen, and the questions were, well, if you had known that this would have that this was going to happen, would you have still have taken the vow?
Right.
That's
That's the Pesach, the way of getting out of the vow, and but the way this is like philosophically, possibly how was it done? It's because very deep down, subconsciously he was waiting for the rabbi to agree. So if you show up at the rabbi and you say that I really didn't want this, and then the rabbi can take it up. Yeah, that would explain why that's a limud zchus on Pinchas, why he doesn't go to. He said I can't go to him. That doesn't work like that, right? Why Yiftach doesn't go to him, that we don't understand. But why Pinchas didn't go to him, that could be an explanation. It doesn't work like that. Okay. Uksiv, and it's written, it's talking about 3 examples of human sacrifices. Mesha, the king of Moav, Shenemar, he sacrificed his son. It says, brought him as a sacrifice. That was, God says, I never commanded that. He wasn't Jewish, but nevertheless. Who was he with? Who was he a friend of one of the kings? Do you remember, Daniel?
I'm sorry, who was this again?
Mesha. Mesha, the king of Moav.
Oh, no, I don't know. Sorry.
What was that stone? The first mention of was it like a Mesha stone or something of some sort? Okay, whatever the case is, he sacrificed.
Actually sounds like another example of Gaiva, because if he sacrifices his son who is heir to the throne, then he's still the king. So
yeah, that's one thing in Rome. You didn't want to be a relative of the Caesar. Yeah, they had to get rid of them quickly. Any relative, so you didn't want to be there. Yeah. Okay, V'lei dibarti ze Yiftach, and I didn't say that. That was referring to Yiftach. Yiftach wasn't told to do that. That was what Yiftach did on his own. V'layol salibi, and never entered my mind. Say Yitzchak ben Avram. That's referring to Yitzchak. That was also offered up as a sacrifice, but that was Hashem never even planned that to be a sacrifice. That was just a test to Avram. Okay, it's nice long Rashi, and apparently there was something else from Kalev in this as well, but it's not mentioned in our Gemara. Amar Rabbi Brechia says, Af Knesset Yisrael shalosh like Hagen. The Jewish people also asked something that wasn't proper. But Hashem responded in a proper way. Shenemar v'neda near the Faladas Hashem. Let us know. We will run and seek to know God. Keshachar nachayin maitzoi v'yavik geshem lanu. Like the morning that's set up, it's found, and it comes like rain to us. That's what the people were asking Hashem, that it come to us like rain. Amallah Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem says, Biti. You're asking that I should come to you, that I should be revealed to you like rain. Sometimes rain is not so pleasant. It's not something that you want. It depends if it's too much or if it's in the wrong time. But you know what? I'm going to come as something that's always sought out. Remember that? It's in the Haftarah over there in Shuva Yisrael. I'll be like the dew for the Jewish people. They asked one more thing that wasn't correct. Put me as a seal on your heart, and like a seal, like engraved on your arm. Sometimes it's not seen because on the arm and on the heart, there's not something that's seen. I'm going to do something for you that's always visible. I'll engrave you on my palm. It means the Jewish people will always be, yeah, like a tattoo on Hashem's palm. No, Hashem keeps the Torah. Okay. We go back to discuss what we mentioned in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that you don't mention the rain, or when do you mention the rain? It was Machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer says the beginning of Sukkot, Rabbi Yeshua says the end of Sukkot. And then we say you don't ask for rain unless it's the time of rain. So Savrua, the Gemara thinks that that's the same thing that we started in the beginning. That when will you mention the rain? Next to the time when it's supposed to rain. Now it doesn't say that as mention, it says as ask. You don't ask for rain. Now we know in our Shmoneh Esrei the two separate things. That you mention the rain, Mashav Rachem Eri Geshem, and you ask for rain in V'sein Talamata. But the Gemara here thinks that it's the same time. At the same time that you're going to mention the rain is when you're going to ask for the rain. So Montana, who's the one that says that you only ask for the rain and mention the rain next to the time of the rain? Amarava, it's Rabbi Yeshua that says that when you put the lulav down, which here we're going to translate as the end of Sukkot, that's when you can already ask for rain. Yesterday it seemed to be a different time. It seemed to be you put the lulav down on Hoshana Rabbah and you ask on Shmini Atzeres, or you mention on Shmini Atzeres. It's nevertheless, it's close enough. That's already, you're out of the sukkah. You can already ask for the rain. Amalei Abaya, Filotema Rabbi Eliezer. Abaya says not necessarily. Rava was the one that said it's Rabbi Yeshua. Abaya said not necessarily. Does it have to be Rabbi Yeshua? Could be Rabbi Eliezer. Now Rabbi Eliezer said that you start mentioning the rain at the beginning of Sukkot. The beginning of Sukkot is not the time of that you want the rain yet. So Shaila L'chud Vaskar L'chud. But you can divide this up, and this is sort of how we learned it at the beginning, that there's mentioning the rain, and then there's asking for the rain. And asking for the rain you only do after Sukkot, and mentioning for the rain you do at the beginning of Sukkot. So that's an easy answer. Vikadamri, there are those that say Lema Rabbi Yeshua he. Let us say that it must be the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, the second part of the Mishnah. The Amar Mishasa Nachase that says when you put the lulav down, and Amar Rava, Filatim Rabbi Eliezer, and it was Rava that said that it could be Rabbi Eliezer, Shaila L'chud Vaskar L'chud. That asking is one thing and mentioning is something else. And Rabbi Eliezer says that you mention at the beginning of Sukkot, but you ask after Sukkot. When exactly? That the Gemara is going to have to explain. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda at the end of the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Lai, he says that it depends who's that. It depends on the chazan. The chazan for Shachris doesn't mention the rain, and the chazan for Musaf does mention the rain. And then by Pesach, it's the opposite. It's the one for Shachris that still mentions, and the one for Musaf that doesn't. Viraminu, we have a contradiction. Until when do you ask for rain? Rabbi Yehuda Pesach. What's the aleph? He switches it around. It puts Reb Meir first. Rabbi Yehuda says until Pesach passes. That's not what it said in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says until Shachris of the first day of Pesach. Right? Yom Tov Rishon shel Pesach. So that's going to be a problem. Reb Meir Emer Chiavar Nisan. Reb Meir says you have to ask for rain until Nisan passes. Amar Rav Chisda like Kasha. So Rav Chisda says it's actually not a contradiction. Why not? Kan lishol kan lahasker. When it comes to mentioning the rain, so that goes only until the first day of Pesach. When it comes to asking for rain, so that continues until the end of Pesach. Mishal Shal V'Azil, Lahazke B'Yom Tov Rishon Pasuk. You continue asking even though you stop mentioning. Amar Ula says, Hadar Rav Chisda, kasha k'chaimetz l'shinayim v'kashin le'inayim. What Rav Chizda said is so difficult. It's like vinegar to the teeth, like smoke to the eyes. Yes, that's like an expression of very difficult statement. Ma b'makom she'ena shayel masker. Let's take a look at this. Before we start asking for rain, we start to mention the rain. We mention it first, and we ask like either Zayin Cheshvan or whatever. B'makom she'shayel, but if you're asking for the rain, einay din she'e masker. Is it not obvious? Is it not logical that you should also mention the rain? Praise Hashem for the rain once you're asking for it. If you're praising Hashem for the rain before you're asking, when you're actually asking, you should for sure be praising. What did Rav Chizda say? Rav Chizda says that you continue asking even though you stopped praising Hashem. So Ula surprised about that. Ula says, we're not going to be able to resolve that question like this. We're going to have to say that there's two students of Rabbi Yehuda that have different opinions about what Rabbi Yehuda said. One student of Rabbi Yehuda quotes Rabbi Yehuda saying that you mention the rain and ask until the first day of Sukkot. Until the first day of Pesach. And the other one says that it's until after Pesach. But not that you stop asking, not that you stop mentioning and continue asking. Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef has another teretz. Rav Yosef says, "My ad sheyavar Pesach." What does it mean until Pesach passes? Ad sheyavar shliach tzibur rishon yered b'yom tov rishon shel Pesach. Ha'over lifnei hateva. It's when he's finished davening. Yeah, I didn't have your phone number, Levi, but Daniel sent me like this incredible article about the difference between Oiver and Yered lifnei hateva. Yeah, like very sophisticated. A lot of research. Anyway, I'll forward it today. You give me a number. So, Rav Yosef says, Ad sheyavar doesn't mean until the whole Pesach passes. Ad sheyavar means until the Chazan for Shachris finishes. Yeah. Amalei Abaya. What's going on over here? According to this, we're talking about asking for rain. Where do we ask for rain? In the blessing of Baruch Aleinu, right? Baruch Aleinu, which blessing is that? The 9th blessing of Shemoneh Esrei. So he says, Shaila b'Yom Tov miyika. You're making it like it continues until Yom Tov. And then after Shachris, he stops. But on Yom Tov, you don't say Baruch Aleinu on Yom Tov. Amalei ein shayel miturgaman. Amalei in. You have to put a comma there. In shayel miturgaman. Yeah, that's a complication in Aramaic. Is that the word no means yes? That's very difficult. Very difficult. Ein means yes.
Canadians do it too.
Okay.
There's a no. Yes.
Okay. So it says yes. The miturgaman. Yeah, right. No. So the Maturgaman, that means the one that's translating, but it actually means the one that's saying the drasha. That's announcing the announcements. He says, "Oh, we should be blessed with B'liz Hashem. We should have rain." The Maturgaman does it. It's not in the davening, but by whoever's saying the teachings that the rabbi is teaching, so he would say it over. So 1 second. It's not even necessary anymore. It's already Pesach. It's not necessary for it to continue raining. And you're saying that in the speech, he's saying that we're still asking for rain. It's better just to answer it that it's a machlaikas. There's two opinions about what Rabbi Yehuda said. Otherwise, you're getting into like these sticky answers that it's not very difficult. Okay. Rabba says, Mayad Shiyavara Pesach. What does it mean until Pesach passes? Ad Shiyavar's man shchitas Pesach. Okay. He has an interesting pshat. It fits well because the day of Pesach biblically is the 14th of Nisan. And Chag HaMatzos is the 15th. Those are the two names for the holiday. Turns out that Pesach is actually the day of the Karban Pesach. So what does it mean until Pesach passes? Until the Pesach, the Shchitas Pesach passes. The 14th, not the way we talk about Pesach, means the way it actually is, the Karban Pesach. And the way we start, that's how we end. Just like the way we start, we mention the rain before we actually ask for the rain. Why? Why is this? Because we start to mention on Shmini Atzeres. When do we ask for the rain? Well, on Yom Tov, you don't say Baruch Aleinu. So it would only be that night. The night after Yom Tov, you start to say Shma'ariv, you say Shemona Esrei, and you say Baruch Aleinu. So you mentioned it before you asked. So this is what we're going to do at the end also. We're going to stop asking by Mincha on Erev Pesach, but we'll continue mentioning it until Pesach in the morning, until Shachris. Nice.
What about that whole tefillah that we do for Geshem and Tal? Isn't that asking?
So, Geshem is asking for rain, and that's Shmini Atzeres, right? And Tal is Musaf on the first day of Pesach, right? So this is Mamash Rabbi Yehuda Shita. You're asking, but we're not asking for the rain then, we're asking for Tal. That the Tal should be good, or whatever. So, and this fits perfectly. Amalei Abaya says, 1 second. Who's Abaya talking to? Abaya is talking to Rabbah. Rabbah was his teacher, his uncle, where he lived by him. He says, Bishlai metchilasei mazker. Abaya didn't have parents. Bishlai metchilasei mazker. I understand why he mentions it at the beginning, because Haskara Nami Ritzi Shiloh, because mentioning it is a type of appeasement before you ask the question. First you praise Hashem, and then you ask for it. Say, oh, you're so good at giving rain. Can we have some rain? Right? Ella Saifai, my Ritzi Shiloh. But after if you're not asking, and you're just saying, oh, you're so good at giving rain, so what is the point of that? Rather, it would make sense to follow Ula's pshat that says that it's a machlaikas. It's two opinions in the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, let's leave the Gemara here.
Every bracha we say, we always
stop over
praise
here.
Hashem before we make a mistake.
Yeah,
So that's just
Right.
how we do it.
right.